I hate to break it to you, sister, but I heard that you're not really happy with your life. I heard that things aren't really going well for you. I heard that you're getting screwed over by people. I heard that you're not like mad about your life and there's days that you actually feel good about it. But when you take a step back and you look at your life as a whole, you just don't feel fulfilled by it. What I'm about to say to you might sound familiar, something you heard before. You may resonate with it a little bit, or you might be completely rejecting and not even willing to consider it as a possibility that maybe you have low standards, and that is the reason you feel the way you do about your life. Oh, no, 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 Sarah, you got it wrong. I'm low maintenance. I don't have low standards. I'm just an easygoing, go with the flow person that genuinely doesn't care about that kind of stuff that much. Here's why that doesn't work. If you're an easygoing, go with the flow, low maintenance type character that seems to find themselves constantly getting screwed over by people, it's because you're easier to take advantage of when you are that kind of person. And if you're that type of character and just genuinely don't feel fulfilled by your life, it's because small, tiny little things pile up over time. It's a compilation of all of the times that you just genuinely didn't care, so you were able to just go with whatever was happening. But even the smallest things like what you eat for dinner and never being in control of that, never choosing and taking the time to even consider what you genuinely want to eat tonight over and over and over and over and over again is going to lead to you being unfulfilled with your overall life experience. And that's why this episode is all about how high standards are less of a dating preference, which is really how they're presented to us most of the time, and more about our genuine life experience that starts to actually come into play when we start to heal. By admitting to yourself that you're living with low standards and putting in an effort to start raising those low standards, your baseline anxiety will drop because you're going to stop monitoring people's moods or over accommodating or second guessing your own needs. You're not going to tolerate low level misalignment anymore. You're going to have maybe less relationships, but that's because you're going to have quality relationships. You're going to stop over explaining yourself constantly. Your opportunities are going to match who you actually feel like you are inside. You're going to be so much harder to emotionally destabilize, and your life is going to feel so much more intentional compared to reactive to the things that are happening in your life. And essentially, what's going to happen is you're going to become a more magnetic version of who you are, because first you're going to know who you are and then you're going to be able to live so much more in alignment with her. If anything in this episode resonates with you, I would really appreciate you considering rating and reviewing the show. It really helps get episodes out to more like-minded people like you and I who need to live a little bit more wellishly. And if you haven't already and you're a person that is imperfect but just wants to feel good enough, you're going to want to subscribe. I'm so passionate about this topic because it was me. It's how I lived my life for so long. And I considered myself a low maintenance person. And honestly, I still do. Like, I still feel like I'm a very carefree, low maintenance, go with the flow kind of person. But what was happening is that I was getting that twisted with having literally no standards, which is crazy because I so didn't identify that way. And it's like we do this thing that when we feel a certain way about ourselves, or we just genuinely don't want to view ourselves in a negative way any more than maybe we probably already do. Like, our self-critic is maybe already driving us nuts. So we don't need to acknowledge the truth behind like the way that we maybe actually feel about ourselves by admitting that we have no standards, is that we just call it low maintenance and can carry on with our lives. And a lot of the time, it's an easier way to live because you genuinely probably are a low maintenance person that is pretty go with the flow and doesn't care too much about how this plays out, whatever the thing is, or can be understanding about certain situations that you just let things go. The way that this first kind of manifested in my life was being a people pleaser for sure, and caring so intensely about what other people thought of me that I would literally just do anything to seek their approval, even if that was like sacrificing myself. And I think what's so interesting is that it's just so not conscious. Like it's just the way that we do this without thinking that it's that bad or without thinking that like we're doing anything wrong. We genuinely feel okay with the choices that we're making because it's what makes us feel as safe as possible, that we're doing this as like a survival mechanism. You people please in order to make yourself feel comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. And it feels easier to just sacrifice you and what you want because you can deal with the repercussions of that on your own time, where you can't control other people's opinions and perception of you. But as we know, we can't live as people pleasers. People pleasing in itself is manipulative, and you can't continue to sacrifice and self abandon. So, as time went on, and I was like, I can't live like this anymore. I can't care so much what other people think. I started to shift out of that. And I did consider myself as a more carefree person, that I didn't really care what other people thought. I remember almost having like an exhausted mentality around it, that I was just like, oh, I'm over that. I'm over the drama. I don't care anymore. I'm not going to be friends with people if they cause problems. I don't care anymore. I'm going to tell people as it is. I'm going to be more blunt. I'm going to be more straightforward, and really stepped into that identity, that I was this person that like wouldn't take shit from people and would stand up for what I believed in, even if it made other people uncomfortable. And I think that when that happened is when it really turned into a disguise for having low standards, which sounds counterintuitive because you would think that if I'm the type of person that's going to say, like, I don't believe this is right, I won't stand for this, I'm not going to tolerate this behavior, I'm going to tell you how it is and I'm going to move on with my life, that would be me having high standards. But it's the intention that was coming behind making those choices. The intention had nothing to do with my self-worth. The intention had to do with probably avoidance, like not wanting to deal with the negativity that was coming up, or having to face something that I had done, or being okay with letting relationships go that I had put a lot of time and energy into. Or it caused me to see more of my role in that situation. Like, what was it that caused me to be in a situation with a person like that in the first place? And that required me to look inward and see things that I didn't want to acknowledge. So it was easier to really keep my standards low unknowingly to me. Like, I genuinely would never have said, oh, I'm a person that has low standards. And I think that's the problem with a lot of this, is that we never admit that we have low standards. Like, nobody ever identifies as somebody that has low standards. We identify as carefree, easygoing, low maintenance people. And when you don't identify as somebody that has low standards, it's obviously hard to change what you won't acknowledge. And it wasn't until life roundhouse kicked me in the teeth that made me realize, oh my God, this whole time I've been keeping my standards low. Like, I thought I was this confident person. I thought I had a handle on myself. I know that I'm really passionate about self-improvement and I'm always trying to learn these things. But despite all of that, I was still somebody that was existing with low standards, that I didn't think that I could, not even that I didn't think I could do better, but that I didn't think it was right to want to do better. Like, that I was going to be so understanding about other people's misfortune that I sacrificed myself and what I genuinely wanted because I felt bad. Like, it's crazy. It's living for other people. Like, I can picture this with my ex-boyfriend, that he cheated on me all the time and he did not treat me right. And I mean, like, we would get into a fight. One time he held me so intensely that like I had bruises on the back of my arms from him yelling at me and like holding me there. And for something that he did, like, he had probably cheated on me, or I probably went through his phone and I saw something or whatever. And that would have been his reaction. And I think that, when I was with him, I know what I was saying to myself was, oh, he's never had a good example of love. He doesn't know what a healthy relationship looks like. And I don't want to be another person that abandons him too. So instead of leaving the situation that clearly wasn't good for me, I wanted to be there for him so that I didn't cause more dysfunction in his life, sacrificing the fact that he was bleeding dysfunction into mine. That's crazy. I did the same thing in my last relationship, that I thought he had just been dealt a shitty hand and that he loved me. And so I should be understanding and stand by his side for the shitty things that he's dealt with, because he obviously cares about me a lot. So, like, why should I not be with somebody because of these other factors in their life, not him as a person? Him as a person treated me well and did all of the things. And I allowed things that I genuinely didn't want in my life, or sacrificed ideas for what I did want for my life, because I didn't want to judge somebody for the situations that were in their life. But I'm allowed to choose what I want for myself. And if that hurts somebody else, I don't want to hurt other people, but I have to live for me. I was living for them. And the whole time I'm making excuses and justifying things inside of my head to make the situation work. And that's one of the biggest things that I have learned from being in these not great relationships, is that a lot of the time, all of the time, most of the time, however you want to look at it, what we do is only see what we want to see. We believe the narrative that we have to in order to stay in that situation. Because if we genuinely acknowledged the situation at face value, looked at what the facts were, and admitted those facts to ourselves, that they were things and they were things that we didn't like, we couldn't stay in our certain situation. And that's scary, and it's hard to make a change. Changing a relationship, leaving a relationship, is a life-altering decision. And I don't like how flippantly people talk about it, that it's just like, just leave him, you have to have higher standards, and he's not meeting those high standards, so get the fuck out of there. It's just not that simple. And anybody that hasn't been in negative relationships doesn't get it. And I don't like that narrative, because of course it is that simple, but it is just not that easy. It changes the way that you exist in your life. And anytime your life completely takes a turn, that is unsettling as fuck, and it doesn't feel good. So we try to avoid that as much as we can. So let's ask the big question. Are you low maintenance, or do you have low standards? I really want to help you get to the bottom of this so you can really understand the difference between the two, because it's possible you're both. Like, I think it's very likely that you are maybe more of a low maintenance person if you identify that way, but that you're really getting the line blurred between the low maintenance and the low standards. The core difference between the two is that low maintenance is preference based, that you genuinely don't need a lot in order to be fulfilled, in order to feel content. Where having low standards is self-worth based, that you need more or even want more, and like the want part makes you feel like you shouldn't want it, it's okay, like that you feel like bad for wanting it, but that you have trained yourself not to ask for the things you want. So let's talk about the signs that you are genuinely low maintenance. If most of these feel true, more likely than not, you are a low maintenance person. The first thing about them is that your needs are simple and you feel calm about your needs. You can be easygoing and not feel resentment towards other people. You're not secretly wishing for more effort from people. You feel very regulated inside of yourself, not deprived. And you don't move through your relationships by constantly scanning for signs of neglect. The second sign that you're genuinely low maintenance is that when something matters to you, you can say that out loud. If you're a low maintenance person, you're not identifying with the things that you ask for, making you be perceived as some sort of way. Saying what matters to you has nothing to do with your low maintenance identity. You don't correlate the two at all. So saying, hey, this matters to me, or I would like a little bit more consistency here, is not something that you're associating with your level of carefreeness. It's when advocating for yourself causes you to shut down. That shutting down is the indicator that you're operating from a place of low standards. Low maintenance is that you're a flexible person, not that you're a silent person that's never allowed to have an opinion. You have the opinion and can compromise. Another sign that you're genuinely low maintenance is that you don't feel chronically unchosen. Do you usually feel secure in your relationships? Do you usually feel considered? Do you feel like your presence is valued by the people that you're surrounding yourself with? If you're low maintenance, you still feel emotionally sound. You feel emotionally full. You feel emotionally steady. And the fourth sign that you're genuinely easygoing is that your easygoingness doesn't result in an eventual crash out. If you're low maintenance, you're not going to experience this like sudden resentment explosion that you're so angry that you have had to deal with this certain thing for a certain amount of time and you're building resentment over time and now I'm just not doing this or I'm not dealing with this anymore. It's that emotional buildup that, like, over time, you just are feeling more angry, you're feeling more sad, you're feeling more forgotten about, you're feeling more resentment, whatever it is. It's this emotional buildup that happens for you to then experience this delayed hurt, that maybe you don't care in the moment and you can let it go and it's fine. But then a while later, you look back on the situation or something else happens and you're like, God, every time this happens, you don't have my back. It's like this delayed hurt. And then suddenly this crash happens and you go into this huge spiral. But when you're low maintenance, you're not suppressing your wants and needs to begin with. So that crash out doesn't happen. The key feeling if you're low maintenance is that you're just steady. Like your baseline is just steady over time. So let's talk about the signs that it might actually be low standards, because if any of these resonate with you, it is possible that you are operating from low standards. The first thing is that you often feel secretly disappointed by people and by situations a lot. Externally, you're chill, like you are like, oh, it's no big deal. You don't want to make anybody feel some type of way. You would rather be like the cool girl to go with the flow, no big deal. You don't want to draw too much attention to it. You don't want to, whatever. So you just have this like chill exterior, but inside, you wish that they had put in more of an effort for you. And you start to notice the gap in effort, how much you give in a relationship and how much they give you, and that there's this big gap between the two of those things. And there's just this like quiet ache that you experience when you're living like that. And that's what then leads to what I was talking about earlier, is that you rationalize this behavior even though it doesn't feel good. You justify and you make excuses and you make it okay with explanations to why things are the way that they are. But just because you know why someone operates the way that they do doesn't mean that it's okay that they operate the way that they do if it's not something that's in alignment with you. The second sign that you're someone that has low standards is that you pre-reject your own needs. Like you come up with the reason why it's okay for not having the thing that you want or need. You're saying things like, it's not that big of a deal, no big deal, whatever, I'll just move on. It's really not that serious. Or you say things like, I know I need to be grateful for the life that I have and that I'm more fortunate than other people. And, it's okay. I know I can be more accepting of what's going on. I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to draw attention to myself or to the situation. You don't want to be needy. Everybody talks about how you can't be needy and like that's horrible and not attractive. And so you've got to just be very like cool and go with the flow and always happy. So those low standards are saying that you shouldn't need much. Like you shouldn't be unhappy with what you have now. You should be grateful and just like figure it out and move on. Where low maintenance says that you actually don't need much. It's just like a straight fact of like what you need and what you don't. If you don't need that much, you're low maintenance. But if you're saying I shouldn't need more, that's low standards. I kind of alluded to this one in the last one, but the third way that you really know if you're operating from a place of low standards is that you amp up being the chill, cool girl. Like you put so much weight and pride in being the chill girl. God, is that me? Like I've done that for as long as I can remember, and that's totally low standards behavior. It's part of your identity to be the cool girl, to be incredibly understanding and supportive. The one that never asks for much and never is going to get upset and is just, chill and go with the flow and very low drama. But all of that is just ignoring your own wants and needs and making yourself feel good about it and making yourself identify with being a person that isn't like that. I mean, I can picture comparing myself to other people and feeling like I'm better than them. It's crazy to say it out loud, guys, but like, I mean, that is really what's happened inside of my head, is that I can position in my own brain, in my own mind, that I am better than the person that always is complaining or always has requests or always needs things, because I can be understanding and cool and chill and they don't have to worry about me. It's this thing that we learned, that being low need makes us easier to love. It makes us safer to love. And you are giving people less reason to not love you, and you're not giving people reasons to reject you or feel aggravated by you and not want you in their life. If you're low need and you're chill and you're cool and you're understanding and you're supportive of literally fucking everything, how can you be rejected? How can people not choose to be around you? And when they do, you know that it's not you, it's them, because you did all of the things that would make them feel fine and chill about you. But what's happening when you do that is you're attracting people that aren't in alignment with you. And so, regardless of what you do, they will always leave. The fourth sign that you're operating from low standards is that when you want to ask for more, when you feel that you need more, it instantly makes you feel anxious. The thought of even needing to bring that up to somebody or to put yourself in a situation that your needs will become apparent is completely anxiety inducing. If you're low maintenance, you just feel neutral about it, like we talked about earlier, because you're not lumping your identity in with the need to ask something, but your identity is so wrapped up and your self-worth is so wrapped up in what you need to ask for and what that means of you, how people will perceive you when you do, that it makes you operate from a place of low standards. And so you feel guilty and you feel panicky and you feel anxious and you think you're being dramatic and you think you're being too much and you think you're going to push people away. And the fifth sign that you've been operating from a place of low standards is that when effort is increased, when people do show up for you, you feel like surprisingly uncomfortable or surprisingly emotional about the fact that they are doing that they are following through on what they said they were going to do. They show up when they said that they were going to show up, and they show up in this really kind, good way. They plan thoughtfully. They show strong consistency. They anticipate your needs. Like I said, they follow through with what they said they were going to do. And it's like emotionally jarring because you're like, what's happening? It's like you're so not used to that level of care. Like, let me give you an example. The other day I went to dinner with my friend, and I live way north in the city compared to my friends, and so I always just go down to where my friends are, and because it's easier, right? Because I think it's easier, low maintenance. I don't care. I don't mind truly traveling down there. But then I went out to dinner with a friend, and we decided we were going to go to dinner. We decided the date, and she texted me and was like, "Hey, I made reservations at this place." I look it up. It's 15 minutes from my house. A 15-minute walk from my house. That's the first time I've gone out with a friend up by my side of town. And it just felt so nice to be considered. Even telling you that story now makes me feel nervous because I don't want my other friends to think that I feel some type of way about it. I don't. I mean, I know that it's me saying I have no problem going down there, and I truly, genuinely don't. I know that I could make more of an effort to invite my friends up this way, but it was just a really good example of that. When someone shows up for you like that, you're surprised and almost weirdly emotional about it. Like that, I wasn't emotional about it, but I noticed it and I thought, wow, that was so nice. So by this point, you probably have a pretty good idea if you are somebody that is actually genuinely only low maintenance, or if there are tendencies in there that you are operating from low standards. And so likely you're going to want to work on raising those standards. So instead of sitting here and telling you how to do that, that could be an entire episode in itself. I really want to tell you what to expect when you start to raise those standards, because there are things that are going to happen that aren't talked about when you look up how to start increasing your standards. Because it's going to feel uncomfortable from an identity perspective. Like, you have been identifying as this chill girl, as this unbothered queen, as this low maintenance person, and when you start to want things and when you start to communicate those wants and needs in your life, it's going to not be fun. It's going to feel weird and it's going to feel bad, and you're going to feel like you're making a mistake, or you're going to feel like you're going to push people away. And it's not going to be a good feeling. And I think a lot of the time when we talk about high standards, it's talked about in the light of like, this will change your life. This is going to feel so great. This is going to be so incredible for you. You're going to feel like a burden. You're going to feel high maintenance. And you're also not going to expect a lot of other people. Like, you're not going to expect for people to pull through. You're not going to expect for your wants and needs to actually be like granted. And you might even feel a little bit ridiculous for the wants and needs that you are asking for. Like, one of mine in dating was being with somebody that likes to take pictures and videos and like doesn't mind that I do content creation. But most men, I feel like, are kind of weird about that. But now I'm with a guy that likes to do those things and encourages me to do it. And that was like one of the biggest things that drew me to him, was that he likes to take pictures and videos. And like, when we go out to eat, he takes pictures of his food and stuff like that. And I pull out a vlog camera and he just talks fully normal into the camera. It's really fun. It's really cool. But it's just never something that I thought I could ask for, because it seems like too much to ask and too trivial of a thing to ask for. Like, it would be okay if I was with somebody that wasn't into content creation. That's not a deal breaker. And so I felt, because it wasn't a deal breaker, I wasn't allowed to have that as a standard. You'll feel that intense fear of people's perception of you when you ask for those things that you want and you communicate the things that you need. And like, you might even feel too picky, kind of like what I was describing earlier, like that you feel silly for the things that you want, and also that other people might describe you as too picky and that you need to lower your standards. I've literally heard people say that to people that I love, that they need to lower their standards if they want to be with somebody. That's crazy, isn't it? Like, that's being with somebody just because they're available, not because you're actually choosing who you want to be with and enmesh your life with. I would rather be alone than be with somebody that didn't meet those standards of someone that I want to actually enmesh my life with. Like, it's not just a friend that you see once a month. It's like somebody that you spend a lot of time and energy with. And I think that's something else that happens, is that people will resist the new you. Like, it makes people uncomfortable when you have standards, when they don't have standards, and when you don't benefit them anymore from your low standards. Like, because now you have boundaries and you have standards and they can't get away with whatever the fuck they want to get away with. They don't like that, and you don't benefit them anymore. And so they are resistant to your new you. Or even just making subtle comments about it, or giving you a little bit of a hard time, making you feel some type of way about having standards. Another thing that really happens that might catch you off guard is that you'll grieve the version of you that accepted less twofold. One, you'll grieve how easy it was to not live like that. Like, when you aren't aware that you're living from a place of low standards, you can convince yourself that you're just low maintenance. Life is easier because you can just go with the flow and be fine with whatever, and just, not worry about it. Where once you're aware that that's you operating from low standards, you feel more of an obligation to do something different, and it's uncomfortable to do something different, and it's scary to communicate your wants and needs and set boundaries and all of the things. And so you miss the version of you that was less aware and could just operate from that easier place. But you also grieve the version of you that allowed the treatment that she received, that allowed herself to move through life not receiving the things that she wanted, and wishing that you had had the courage to have done it sooner. When you increase your standards overall, your dating dynamics do begin to change. But that's why it's a symptom of raising your standards. It's not just about dating. It's raising your standards in your life overall. And then you start to see those dating dynamics shift, because what you're doing, and honestly, it's not just dating, it's friendships, it's every relationship in your life. Because what's happening is, when you know who you are and you operate in alignment with who you are, you attract like-minded people. You attract people that meet those standards, and you repel the people people that don't. You're not going to be around people that are less than that standard once you're aware of that standard. And it's not even something that you really have to put much effort into. But once you have the standard that you don't want to be with somebody that makes you feel emotionally unsafe, you will never be with a person again that shows any sort of sign of making you feel emotionally unsafe. You're just gonna be like, oh no, I'm not doing that anymore. And you'll move on and away from that. Like, you won't even get far enough along with that person for it to maybe be difficult to cut that person off. It's possible. I'm not saying that that's an impossible thing to happen, but a lot of the time you won't even involve yourself with people that are not in alignment with you anymore. But on like the good side of things, like, cause that is all gonna feel uncomfortable, but obviously there's good things that come with this. Like, you'll be able to clock shitty behavior faster. You're gonna be less patient with people, but like in a good way. You'll stop romanticizing breadcrumbs. Your body is going to respond to inconsistency quicker. Like, you're gonna have that feeling and that thought of, why does this bother me so much a lot? Like, you're maybe not even gonna really understand why, but you're gonna find yourself asking yourself that a lot. Why does this bother me? Why is this irritating me? Normally, this isn't something that would get under my skin, but it's bothering me, and I don't know why. And I wish I didn't really care, but this person said this thing, or I was at this place and this thing happened, and it's making me feel some type of way. And why? I don't understand. You also might feel lonelier, like that's a negative. I was kind of going into the positives, but dipping back into the negatives really quick. Like, you're going to feel maybe lonelier because you're not going to be around people that don't meet your standards so much. And you're going to be in like that in-between uncomfortable phase of shifting from the version of you that had low standards to the version of you that's low maintenance but has standards. And that might cause relationships to shift, and you'll be alone more, and you won't relate to people in your life more, and you won't feel understood by people a lot. And so that will, even if you're not like actually physically lonely, like you're still out in the world and with people, it still might cause you to feel more singled out, more different than the people that are around you. But then your self-trust starts to grow because you know that you can stand up for you, and you just feel more proud of yourself and proud of who you are because you know yourself more, and you're living in alignment with you more, and you're doing right by you more. And you start actually choosing your life and not just letting whatever happenings go on in your life choose you. That's it for today's episode, guys. I hope it helped bring some clarity to if you actually are low maintenance or if you just have low standards. This week, I have a conversation coming up for you that really made an impact on my life with a PhD, Alessandra Wall. She gave really great insight in how to stop performing wellness and how to actually tap into becoming the version of yourself that you want to be from a place of genuine internal knowing compared to having to do more and do things better and perform better in order to gain this result that a lot of us are taught in self-improvement. And then this Friday, we have the end of February to look forward to. So I'm going to be doing my February hates and faves. So make sure to tune in this week for those two things that you have to look forward to. Otherwise, I love you endlessly. You have this, don't worry about having low standards. It's just something to know, not something to judge yourself about. And you move forward slowly and intentionally from here. I love you endlessly. I will talk to you so soon.